Are you guys ready for this review? I'm not. So as you guys know, Velvet Buzzsaw came out on February 1st, and this was probably one of my top 5 most anticipated movies of the whole entire year when it comes to horror. I mentioned it in my most anticipated movies of 2019 video. I will link it if you want to know the other. I just realized I didn't put my art up. If you want to know the other movies that I'm most excited about, I guess I should mention that we are getting 4 Stephen King adaptations. This is really random, but we're getting 4 Stephen King movies this year alone, and I am so excited. That's, you know, hoping that they don't push back any of the release dates. So Dr. Sleep is going to be released on November 8th, so we're getting 4. We have Dr. Sleep, In the Tall Grass, It Chapter 2, and Pet Sematary. So I'm excited. It's a Stephen King year. He's one of my favorite horror icons, so this is the year of Stephen King and I'm so excited about it. I just had to mention that because it's horror news and I thought you guys would care. So anyway, let's get back to Velvet Buzzsaw. So I watched this last night and I was so excited. I even told my boyfriend, I'm like, I'm so excited we're gonna watch a really good horror movie tonight. I'm really in the mood. It's been a minute since we watched Bird Box or Escape Room, and those are the last 2 like good horrors that I've seen. So I am stoked, and it's pretty much a guarantee that I'm going to love this movie, right? Now, it's my bad that I hyped this movie up so much in my mind, but can you blame me? Have you seen the trailer? It's Jake Gyllenhaal, Toni Collette. They are great icons in the movie scene, and any movie that they're in pretty much I love. So this is by the same director that did Nightcrawler. Loved that film as well. Also stars Jake Gyllenhaal. So I was pumped. I'm like, this is gonna be the best movie so far of the year. And I was the most disappointed and let down, and I was just I was speechless when I finished the movie. I was like, did I just watch 2 hours of nothing? So if you've seen the trailer for Velvet Buzzsaw, congratulations, you have seen all of the best parts of the movie. Literally every, I would say 95% of all horror elements that are in this movie. Why am I yelling? I'm so passionate about this. I'm so frustrated. Anyway, but about 95% of horror elements that are in this movie are featured in the trailer. So if you haven't seen the trailer and you want to watch this movie still even after this review, then don't watch the trailer because that is the whole movie, essentially. So Velvet Buzzsaw follows the LA art scene, which I know nothing about, so I was lost in a lot of the language that they were using. I was lost in a lot of the characters too. It's almost like we were expected to remember everyone and like know all these people and like know their names already, even though they're not like real people, obviously. But I was just like, all right, well surely this is just the beginning of the film, like it's gonna turn into a horror movie soon, and we don't really need to know that much about the art world or follow this plot line as much because it's so obscure and weird that I'm just not following, right? And I don't know if I'm just slow, but it was kind of frustrating because I didn't know who anyone was, and I was like, I don't know if these jobs are real or any of this is even accurate, so I'm just gonna go along for the ride. Let's see when it turns into a horror movie. It never did turn into a horror movie. This is a drama suspense film at best. If you can put all of the horror things of a movie in a trailer, not really a horror movie. There's no surprise element. There's nothing more to it. There's no gore in it. I mean, there is a little bit, but there's like 3 horror scenes. Not even all the death scenes are horror scenes in my opinion. So they were getting heated. I need to center, calm. The deaths were so disappointing. It was almost like a Final Destination situation without the gore. Like anyone who profited from this dead guy's art was then killed. So it was almost like he was death in Final Destination and these people were dying in really weird artistic ways, which sounds kind of cool. It's like an art spin on Final Destination, but it's not. So obviously my initial thought after finishing the movie, I was like, how can a movie that stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Toni Collette, John Malkovich be that bad? How is that even possible? And granted, to be fair, it's not the actors' fault. They were playing these roles that were so unlikable that I didn't feel connected with any of the characters. If anything, I felt more connected with like the artist, the dead guy who died, and his art, and you were like rooting for the art instead of these people in the art world because they're so unlikable. They're just so selfish and self-centered, elitist and pretentious. It was, granted, I think that was a artistic choice. I think that the director wanted us to feel that way about these characters because there's no way that he wrote that to have us bond with them. That's just not possible. So luckily we do get some backstory into the artist himself and his art, but in my opinion it wasn't enough to explain like why or how he can manipulate art to kill people. It's like they mention his spirit, I guess, but it's like, I mean, most of my reactions is just facial expressions and hand movements. I'm sorry, I'm not really doing a great job explaining my real feelings about this because I don't know. That's just the best way to describe it is what happened to Velvet Buzzsaw. When I showed my boyfriend the trailer for Velvet Buzzsaw, I stopped it before the end because there's a huge spoiler well, the whole trailer is a spoiler for the movie, but there's a huge one in the end of the trailer. Like, why are you showing all these deaths in the trailer? I think that's really where the movie went wrong. Had it done the trailer different, I think that's what most people have an issue with, is how the trailer portrayed this movie, because it is not accurate at all to the actual movie. The fact that they put almost every horror element in the trailer makes you think that there's gonna be more, obviously, because normal horror movies don't put all the horror in the trailer, because then why are we gonna watch it as horror fans? We're not gonna get anything extra on top of what we've already seen in the trailer. The trailer is fantastic. Just watch the trailer if you want a good horror movie, because the idea was so unique and cool, and I was so excited because like you could do anything with art and like have really strange deaths, which they do, but they show them in the trailer, so it's like Now my boyfriend argues that the story is interesting because we're getting a little peek inside the LA art scene and like these weird jobs that we don't really think about, like how the art gets installed in museums and things like that, and like the woman who is kind of cataloging all the materials that the artist had used on his art. That's interesting to me, but I don't know enough about the LA art scene to know if that's even accurate. So for all I know, it's just a fictional world they made up, you know? So I do want to mention one of my biggest gripes about the movie is so minuscule, and it had to have been an artistic decision on the director's part because there is no explanation for it unless I missed something. Jake Gyllenhaal has a flip phone in a world of AirPods and iPhones, and he has a flip phone. I was so confused by that, and I know that's so weird to be so angry about, but as soon as he busted it out, I'm like, what is he doing? There is a guy in the previous scene that had AirPods in. Obviously this is taking place in current day. What is he doing with the flip phone? Is it like vintage? Is it part of his personality? Is it like a personality trait that he just always has a flip phone? I didn't understand that at all. So this video is not gonna have any spoilers as far as, well, maybe this did spoil it, I don't really know. But I'm not gonna get into like the end or anything because you can see the end in the trailer. I mean, not really. There are a couple things that are hidden in the movie, but they are the most disappointing parts of the movie. They obviously omitted it from the trailer because they are so bad. So all the good parts are in the trailer. So if you wanna watch this movie, just watch the trailer and call it a day, because you're gonna save so much time by not watching the full 2-hour movie, because I am just blown away how a movie can fail that bad for having so much hype, having a bomb trailer and a bomb cast. How does it nosedive so hard? I'm so confused. Like, this is the biggest question mark of the year so far of what happened here. Like, all the elements were there, all of the ingredients were in this recipe, and somehow they produced something so tragic. I know I'm sounding really harsh about this movie, but I had such different expectations going in, and I am not the only one. Literally everyone that I've seen talk about this movie is saying the same thing, and I think it killed itself with the trailer. I honestly think that's what did it in, because had the trailer been done in a more dramatic way instead of a horror way, then we would have known what to expect in the whole movie, because the movie is ultimately a drama about these characters in the art world. It is not about this art killing people or this art being weird. I don't know. It's not a horror. I also want to mention that this movie was very reminiscent to me of the video game Layers of Fear, which is hands down by far my favorite video game. Obviously, it's not a true video game in the sense that there's no combat, there's no fighting or anything like that. It's just a walkthrough video game, but the imagery within Layers of Fear is so breathtaking to me. It's like they ripped images out of my mind and put them in this game, like that is the kind of art that I would want to create, honestly. If I could create art. I'm not creative at all. So I'm just saying, if you want a horror version of this movie, play the video game Layers of Fear. Even if you're not a gamer, play that game because you don't have to do anything. You're not fighting anything, you're just walking through. It's not really a strategy game or anything like that. Well, there's a little bit that goes into it, but it's barely anything. A lot of the images from Velvet Buzzsaw were almost the exact same as the Layers of Fear video game because they had like paintings dripping and stuff like that. That's in the game. It's just what I wanted Velvet Buzzsaw to be was in Layers of Fear. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't think anyone else is going to mention that, but it's Layers of Fear is about this like haunted art, and it's so much better and so much more like disturbing than Velvet Buzzsaw could ever be. I know I'm being really harsh on this movie. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you loved it, please tell me what saved it for you or what you liked about it down below, besides Jake Gyllenhaal and Toni Collette and John Malkovich acting, because they were, oh, and Rene Russo, they were on point with the acting. They were just in characters that I hated. So anyway, I would say don't even bother watching the movie, and I know that's sad because so many of us wanted to watch it, but if you were like me and were anticipating this movie and were excited about it, you're going to be let down miserably. Like, not just, oh, it's a matter of opinion or perception. It's not like the trailer portrays at all. So no matter what, if you go in expecting the trailer, you're gonna be disappointed. So just watch the trailer. Trailer shows everything you need to know, every good part of the movie. There you go. Let's have a little discussion about Velvet Buzzsaw in the comments. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.